Bill O'Neill, winner, winner, winner. Bill O'Neill advances. For title, indeed, the birthday girl, Stephanie Zavala.
9 to make the show. There it is.
He yelled, do it, and he did it. BJ Moore makes the show. 10 is a win for Snodgrass. Title number 6 on the PWBA Tour.
Off his hand, it looks good. It looks good. He's done it. He's done it.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to ABC Gates Bowl. It is time for championship bowling here at the PWBA Rochester Open. My name is Emil Williams Jr. alongside Sydney Brumman. And folks, for a while I thought we were going to have a different plan for Sid tonight. She was well on her way to making this show. Things were a little bit different. We'll talk about that, of course, as the show goes on. But Sid, we've got 4 finalists, including the defending champion here in Stephanie Johnson. Steph will face Daphne Tan, and then a battle of roommates and some rivals from the country perspective. Finland versus Sweden. Pepi Konstaderi of Finland will take on Nora Johansson tonight of Sweden. It's an opportunity, of course, for Nora to still become the first two-handed player to win a PWBA title. Pepi making her first career show tonight, Sid. Obviously, Steph, full of experience, 5-time champion, and Daphne Tan also looking to win her first PWBA title tonight.
There's no doubt about it. No matter who you look at, they have their own story. They always do. But the one that stands out to me tonight is Pepi. I think she continues to bet on herself time and time again. She has the option to stay home, to be in Finland, to go to school, pursue physical therapy, and instead she's here chasing her dreams and now has that first knock at a title.
First knock at a title, indeed. And it looked like Pepi was going to get off to a good start during the season. A lot of practice, a lot of preparation. And the first couple of weeks didn't quite go her way. Then this week, you talking about dominant ball reaction between her and Stephanie Johnson. I thought either one, you could flip a coin on who had the best. It might lean still toward Pepi at this point.
I would think so, too, just because she can be further left than Steph can because of her rev rate. It allows her to have an easier time getting the ball through the front part of the lane, gives her an advantage in creating hold, which most people don't have.
We will wait to match number 2 to see Pepi tonight. We start semifinal number 1, of course, because Pepi is the highest remaining player with respect to seeds. Her match is second. And we start with Stephanie Johnson and Daphne Tan, 2 players who will be, assumingly, in a similar part of the lane. Mike Flanagan, that is, on the 1s and 2s tonight. We were talking about Daphne in a very clutch match against Liz Johnson, and a late ball change and some practice shots from a game that was mathematically over allowed Daphne an opportunity to try a different ball. Here's Stephanie Johnson. And speaking of bowling balls, Stephanie Johnson came in with a plan this morning to throw 1 ball. Her ball rep, Mike Wolf, came in with a completely different plan, and it was the plan to throw the pulse, and it has proved to be successful.
Yeah, and there's something on it that you don't see very often anymore. That pin's straight in the palm. Something we're not going to see a ton just because they're trying to get the ball to be extremely smooth. They want it to stay on line.
Here is Daphne Tan out of Team Singapore, 20-year member on the squad. And using a bowling ball that may have gotten a little bit of a look, but wasn't something that we saw her throw a lot in our previous rounds of match play, 3, 6, 9, 10.
Yeah, didn't see it a lot from Daphne, saw it a lot from everybody else.
Yeah,
so
it was a popular piece of
it's not
equipment.
a surprise to see it go down the lane, that's for sure, especially when there's not as much traffic.
To our viewers at home tonight, you've got 2 opportunities to win bowling balls. We will have some giveaways for you, and those will start at the conclusion of this match. Oh,
Going
that's left.
straight.
That's left. All right, so the early open frame there for Daphne. This is not her first show. She made the 2019 USBC Queens telecast, also made the 2022 BowlTV Open. That was on Long Island. That was actually a show that both she and her sister Sherry made. And Sherry did end up winning the title. You see Team Singapore just to the left of Daphne. Wei, Sherry to the left of Wei, Ariane Tay, Charmaine Chang, Shayna Ung, and a good shot, 6 into the 10. Sid, I thought that was a quality hit. I thought the 6 into the 10 carried a lot for right-handed players. What did you see this week as we take a look at this replay?
Yeah, it was a surprising hit for a lot of people with lower rev rates. You know, I think Daphne can probably relate to it. People with lower rev rates, we don't see the 6 snap into the 10 very often. Usually it lays in the gutter and we have an opportunity to shoot a spare. This week, we saw it the first couple games and you saw all of our faces light up. We were just so excited that maybe we wouldn't have to shoot as many. And the caveat to that was you had to be going straight enough through the front part of the lane to get that hit.
Back to Steph J. The light mixer. That was a pretty, I would say, fair carry percentage strike for a lot of players, too, especially during match play, and Steph got her fair share.
Yeah, one of the fun things I think about coming to ABC Gates is that our pinfall is always fun, right? We see lots of roll twos, light shakers.
Early lead for Stephanie Johnson, trying to repeat as the Rochester Open champion. Last year's format was slightly different. It was still 16 players, but it was round-robin match play. This year, 16 players, best of 5 bracket. High flush.
Yeah, I appreciate the summer series because we get to have a slightly different format than we normally do. It's nice to have the variation. We can see some different strengths come out of players, and I've had a couple players say to me today, you know what? I think that Stephanie Johnson's jam is match play. Like any time that she's in match play, I kind of want to pencil her into the show already. There's something to be said about that. I think they might be onto something.
Good look at Daph. And trouble early for Daphne Tan. 4, 6, 7. Again, this is the first semifinal. Our second will feature Nora Johansson and Pepi Konsteri. The winners of those respective semifinals, of course, will meet in the championship match later tonight.
I do want to point out, we have Ball Rep on tour with us this week. He won't be featured in this match because we don't have a motive player on the show. But Zach Tackett bowled here this year. Interesting time where the men and women bowled in the same center in the same year. We don't see that a lot. And so he had some notes that all the right lanes hooked more. I'm not sure that all the women on tour agreed with that over the last few days. Some of us had it flipped, but they were probably playing a different portion of the lane than we were. But it is something to keep an eye out for. There were pairs where it felt like the right lane hooked more, and it could be that our TV pair here today falls into that category.
Tan now trailing by 45 here in the 4th frame. Yeah.
Hey.
So she likes the left lane. As you just talked about, the right lane seems to be an issue. And really, so, I'm thinking back to the Daphne-Liz Johnson match, and Liz could barely buy a strike on the right lane for the longest of times as you see the 6 go into the 10 there. Thought about it? Maybe. Down goes Frazier.
Falls forward. That's fun. Do you know what pair that was on?
It was on 23 and 24.
I bowled on that pair yesterday. It wasn't very fun.
Stephanie Johnson came out the gates this morning on fire against Crystal Elliott as she dropped the top seed 3-0, shooting .755 for the first 3 and only 3 of that match. And she keeps the pressure on here. Wow, what a shot.
It was insane. I had the privilege of bowling next to that match, and I was watching Stephanie just lace one after the other.
Incredible bowling so far now through 4 frames and all day, even against Maria Jose Bor, which went the distance. It went 5 games on this very difficult lane condition. Sid, what was the trickiest part in your opinion?
Everything. No, there's a lot about it that's tricky. The first thing that's the obvious one, is the speed bump down lane. Our bowling balls have to slow down before they get there. That's why bowling ball like what Steph is throwing, a symmetric solid that wants to be really rolly and stay on line, pin in the palm, makes tons of sense. Giant asymmetric bowling balls make tons of sense. Another great shot from Steph 6 goes right around the 10. The other hard part that I think could get overlooked is we have terrain and glide in the same on the same pattern graph. And that gets tricky because terrain wants to let your ball hook early and it wants to travel down lane, and that doesn't get very fun because you already have a speed bump. And then glide feels, for our newer people who have bowled on ice before and haven't seen glide yet, brothers, essentially, those two oils. And so you can get confused. You're like, my ball is hooking early and now I move and I 210. I don't quite understand. It's those two oils interacting in conjunction with the speed bump. Basically, there's a million things that can go wrong and like 2 or 3 that can go right. And when those 2 or 3 are going right, like they are for Stephanie right now, your scores can be very high. But when the picture is unclear, it becomes difficult to hit the pocket. It becomes difficult to leave makeable spares.
So Daphne Tan now back up here, trailing by 54 early. 5th frame. Has to get something going. No marks at all on the right lane. Hit the pocket. Good shot. Right about 16-ish at the arrows. You see the deflection. It was moving right as soon as it hit the head pin.
Yeah, and we don't have rangefinders this week. I know we talk about them a lot on other shows. This week, the conversation was often about hitting the 3 light-colored boards around 10. So 9 is a lighter color, 10 is a lighter color, 11 is a lighter color. So those become your pseudo rangefinders. You want to get your ball that far right. If it gets any further right, you're flirting with a 210. If it gets inside of that, your risk of going high is very available.
Right now, Daphne will need a lot of help here from Stephanie Johnson, and Steph has given really no players any help today. She had a good match against Maria Jose Boer, but Daphne got to get going here. It's got a hook. 2, 4, 5, 7. For the world champion. Coveted accomplishment so far, world championship doubles with her sister Sherry. And ironically enough, last year's IBF World Cup, they were defeated in the gold medal match by none other than Pepi Konsteri and her partner, of course, from Finland. So if she were to win a title, and if it happens tonight, it would be nestled kind of just right underneath, and you would understand, you know, when you get a chance to win anything for those who have siblings, and especially siblings as close as they are, Sherry and Daphne, you would understand why that might rank at the top.
Let alone it being a world championship. It's very casual.
Right?
Right.
When she described it, so well, what would this rank? She said, just below the doubles gold medal with Sherry, of course. Speaking of gold medals, that's something that Stephanie Johnson has a lot of. Accumulated over 18 years on Team USA, retired in 2022. Throwing shots just like that, folks. Just unbelievable shot making here, Sid.
It's really good. And what's interesting about Steph is the comment from competitors saying, hey, I think she might be really good at match play. I'm not sure that that's true. I think Steph is really good at bowling, and specifically on the fresh. And what's interesting about match play is typically the fresh lasts a little bit longer. And if you're going to give one of the best in the world an opportunity to stay in one zone for a long time and get very comfortable and see them be able to miss and get away with it, they're going to have a grand time. They're going to strike a lot. They're going to get so comfortable that the moves become more obvious. That's probably the most important thing that I noticed about Steph's match with Crystal, is every move that she made seemed obvious because she was making great shots. Great shots give great information. Great information gives great moves. Every decision she made was correct. And so when you allow somebody like her to get this comfortable, it's hard to beat.
Hard to beat indeed. Daphne trailing now by 68. Steph went 236, 277, 243 against Crystal Elliott in the round of 16 this morning. Daphne defeated Alexis Runk as she trips a 4. That went 5 games. And then she defeated Liz Johnson, as we talked about. That too went the distance. First strike on the right lane for Daphne Tan. And you see the great Rick Barbera. And here, courtesy of Brunswick. Other players, Olivia Farwell, Stephanie Zaval in the building, Valerie Bercier, Corinne Bouchard, several competitors here. Wow. Well, all you can do is smile.
Yeah, it's just slightly too far right. You can see it's outside those light color boards, and so the bowling ball is already pretty forward. We saw that with the deflection when she would 10-pin, and so it's not going to come screaming off of 8 as much as we wish that it would, and unfortunately pays full price, no discount, 7-10.
Let's see a bounce. Pins do bounce in the building. We saw an 8-10 converted by Nora Johansson in match play. We saw a 3-6-7-10 made by Nora, an 8-10 made by Nora. Diana Zavjalova made the Greek Church. I feel like there were 1 or 2 more.
What's interesting for Stephanie now is the opportunity to maybe move a little bit and see how much room she has. Knowing what the score is, you don't want to move too much to put yourself at risk of anything crazy, but you can start to get an idea of what's going to happen, because the 2 players coming after this match don't exactly throw it like Daphne and Stephanie. It's not exactly the same.
Yeah, this is basically the straighter player with respect to this semifinal, and our next semifinal match will feature the Reverend.
Yeah, actually, we all strategically talked about that, and we organized the bracket in that manner. We really worked on that during qualifying, all of us. We had a team meeting.
Steph's got to stay behind the foul line and handle business, and she will be officially on. See the ball change there, and exactly what Sid just talked about.
She's going to go to an alert. It's still a solid bowling ball, but one of the smaller pieces from Brunswick. It's been a piece that a lot of players have liked, different style players have liked.
And she makes it officially official. Stephanie Johnson, 1 win away from repeating as the Rochester Open champion, but she's got a little bit of a wait to go. All right, so this format, of course, 2 semifinals. This is not a step ladder. So Steph will not be bowling in the next match. She will not have a chance to run the ladder, if you will. She will wait for Peppy and Nora to complete their semifinal and await the winner. I'll give Daphne Tan, though, her flowers. Now, earlier in the year, one of my tour predictions was that Daphne Tan was going to win a PWBA title, and she would kind of complete the champions group, if you will, of the core players from Singapore who first came over to the United States to compete in 2016.
I think it's still in play.
Oh, absolutely.
And the reason I can confidently say that is we're in the same building for 3 events in a row, and she just made the first show. And I feel like typically we see similar types of players and people make show after show when we're in the same building.
Again, single game semifinals. Of course, the format leading up to this was best of 5, but these are single game matches. Still an opportunity to get some information for the rest of the week. I'm sure it won't be the last time, just throughout qualifying, that she may bowl on 31 and 32. And certainly could be back here potentially for the Pepsi Open Championship final. That's right, folks. The new event begins tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Qualifying round 1 will get underway of the the BowlTV Open, I beg your pardon. Pepsi was last year here in Rochester in 2025. But it's still the official soft drink of bowling.
Yeah, it's just later in the year, I think.
We'll split the 8-9 on that one.
That's how it always goes.
Final shot here for Daphne Tan, a 36-year-old world champion. Now making her 3rd show. And she will finish at 167. Good look at Steph. Again, the ball change that's happened a frame before. She'll throw this one more time, at least here in the 10th frame. Also note that Daphne Tan still taking notes, right, and writing down some of the information she has learned from this semifinal match here on 31 and 32.
It's just so interesting because every single time you see a bowling ball outside of those 3 light-colored boards, if you were sitting in front of the booth, you would see me shake my head no. Every time, because it's very difficult to get the ball back from there. The only person I saw be able to do it was Hope Gramley, and she did it really well. Every time she did it, I was sitting in the back, watching her ball go down the lane, gathering information from her shots, and I would shake my head no, and then all of a sudden she had a strike. And I'm not sure if Hope had a very different surface prep than anybody else did. That would be something I'd be curious to know about, because the way she was able to play this pattern, I felt like the recovery that her bowling ball had from the right was so different than other people's. I would love to know how and why she was able to do that.
Final shot for Stephanie Johnson.
That's another different bowling ball. That's a full effect.
.257 to 167. Semifinal 1 is in the books, and we will wait for the arrival of one Pepi Konsteri and Nora Johansson, Finland versus Sweden. That semifinal is next, but first a word from Kegel, and on the other side, we got some bowling balls to give away. Stay tuned here. Semifinal 2 is next. You're watching the PWBA Rochester Open right here on BowlTV. Always fun to bowl against a friend. Sometimes it actually can be a little bit tricky, but I heard these two talk about it, and would love for whoever to win. Right? It's one of those situations. As we welcome you back, Emil Williams Jr., Sidney Brummett, Mike Flanagan on the 1s and 2s, Brian Kane down lane giving you the wonderful sights from afar. We've got a bowling ball to give away, and it's going to be courtesy of Motive. So before we do that, here are my instructions to you. Please exit out of full screen mode. That's key because you may not be able to see the lower third prompts, and that will be important because that's how you're going to enter this giveaway. So get out of full screen mode, or if you don't want to do that, you're watching on your big screen right now, which would be great. Have your computer or your mobile device handy so you can see the lower third prompts. Once the first lower third appears, it's just going to tell you that a giveaway is going to be underway soon. There'll be a countdown. Once that countdown concludes, the next one will say, click here to submit your entry, and that's what you want to do. You'll want to submit your entry when prompted, and that's all you have to do to be entered to win a Motive bowling ball. So thank you to Motive, and thank you to our wonderful subscribers of BowlTV. As that is underway now, Sid, I'll turn to you. I don't know if there are certainly two more powerful, and there's a few more Jordan hoped to be, for example, with respect to strike balls, power, rev rate. Nora's ball sounds like an explosion every time it hits the pins. Peppy, more of the same, but I thought Peppy had a slight edge in returns of ball reaction in her matches today. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, that's a hard one. I have to give the edge to Peppy, simply because I feel that Peppy is a bit more accurate than Nora. And the reason that I say that is because she has to be. Nora has a bit more power than Peppy does. And so with Nora being able to create a bit more space potentially, it doesn't force you when you're younger to be as accurate. And so they've gotten harder every single round that's happened. And so she'll find great looks like that, but if she misses a little bit right, what happens? Right, we saw what happens. It's a washout. If she misses a little bit left, I know it goes to the left of the head pin. So can she dial it in for 10 frames, hit, get it close to where she's looking? I think you give the edge to Nora for power, but Peppy, I think, has to be a bit sharper just because she has a bit less power than Nora, so she grew up having to learn to be accurate. And so that's where that one goes for me.
I think it'll be interesting, and I thought Peppy, just again across match play, 199, 244, 245, and a very important 279 against Kayla Verstrady in the round of 16. Verstrady had to match. Peppy went first, finished with 279. Kayla needed, of course, all three in the 10th to tie and force a roll-off, and she left a 10 pin, so she shot 278. And then Peppy, 237, 267, 191 against Brianna Cote, and did what she had to do late in the match, game 3 specifically, to close Brianna Cote out. Congratulations to Gary. You got yourself a Motive bowling ball, Gary. Gary, be on the lookout for an email from the BowlTV marketing team. It should take about 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't hear from them, Gary, then we will ask you to reach out to them at marketing@bowl.com. Let them know you have not received your bowling ball as of yet. Semifinal number 2. Higher seed Konstaderi will start. And Sin pins the strike.
I love that she's wearing her favorite jersey.
Sunflowers.
I love it. She talked about her jerseys that she reprinted, and all of them are blue for the most part, except for this one, Sunflowers. And I think it was a reprint from a couple years ago that she made. Just girl things, Emil.
I'm okay with that.
Just girl things.
I mean, I love a good jersey. First shot, Nora Johansson. And 2, 4, 8, 10. To figure out which bowling balls Nora looks to be in. There were some times earlier during match play where it looked like she was able to kind of take the lane out of play, not have to circle it or shape it as much as she is now. You see the result there.
Yeah, that's a vengeance, it looks like. And you can see that the pin is really close to her fingers, if you look at it there on the rack. And what's interesting about two-handed players and some studies that some of the bowling ball companies have done is that two-handed players, the pin isn't really going to end up below the fingers for it to be pinned down or have pinned down characteristics. With the, excuse me, it looks like that's a hustle, actually. It's a hustle, excuse me. The Vengeance and the hustle have the same colors, but when the pin is that close to the fingers, if you're one-handed, you can think about it like a pin-down bowling ball. Very similar shapes, very similar flare characteristics.
Used this piece of equipment for a good portion of our match play rounds earlier today. But the first couple shots just out the window, maybe a little bit of nerves. This is her third career show. She's already made one show this year. That was at the Northern Colorado Open. Qualified as the fifth seed, lost to Stephanie Zavala in the opening match, 234 to 201. So thinking back to the Anniversary Open, good replay there, just clipping the head pin. Nora's three shows, the back half of last season was very good. She's already starting to, pick up steam, put together great performances in back-to-back weeks. Really, the last 3 weeks had a good Queens also. Back to Pepe. Bang. Sliced and diced and everything nice. And this ball just demolishes.
That's insane. That's so good. It's so good. If you're wondering what ball that is, it's an Idol Cosmos. It's a ball that is not in the current line.
Pepe with plans to become a physical therapist. Well, the 22-year-old, the birthday coming up later in the fall. From Finland. Got to get up the hill, and it will.
Curious where this one gets to. Oh, it gets all the way to like 6. She knows she got away with one there.
There were moments, and as they always would be, right, because no bowler is perfect, when you knew she kind of dropped her shoulders once or twice, but bowling ball said, hey, don't worry. I got you. I got you, kid.
That's the best feeling.
And now Nora on the right lane.
I got to be so honest. I think the ball choice is the reason that's happening to Nora. She's stuck with the same ball. That's left to where Pepe just threw hers. And Nora has a little bit more reverie, a little bit more power than Pepe does. I would think it gets off of there if it's a slightly bigger core, right? An Idol core versus a hustle. Very different in comparison. Idol's going to want to pick up sooner than a hustle is. It'll allow her to not feel like she's fighting the front part of the lane, but it also isn't going to give her as much miss room.
Nicely done. One thing that has been on the money today for Nora has been a spare ball, specifically with split conversions.
It's as good as it gets. Doesn't bounce off of a wall, out of the pit, nothing. I think it's so interesting. Sorry, I think it's so interesting, Emil, that she's going to stick with this bowling ball. Your opponent has the front 3. I would think you'd have to be a bit more risky. If I had to guess anything, she might move a bit further left, try and get away from it, but it's still going to fly through it. Now, she has 2 options here. She has backup ball, so she could try and make this. Or she could throw a different ball to make the 2-8.
Well, she's at a point, and we've seen players during match play struggle with splits. It was a big part of a few matches, but Nora, I thought, bypassed that pretty well. She will take one. When she had the 8-10, she made that. She took the 8 right at it, and it bounced off the back of the curtain, came back on the deck. And now Pepi, big lead, all the momentum in her first career show on the PWBA Tour.
You see Joey get up. One of the reps for Storm going to go have a conversation with Nora while Pepi bowls her 2 frames. They might be a quick 2, though. I have a feeling, Emil. Quick 2.
It might be, as Pepi now at the front 4. Her average of match play was 237.43, and that was through 7 games. And already pacing toward a higher clip.
What did Crystal average during qualifying? Do you know?
222.08.
Wow, so 15 more.
Big lead here for Constetter. 59 pins. Looking for the front 5. .28 stops the early run.
So the only difference between this one and the one that light shakered on this lane that got further right is that one got there later. Same part of the lane, but later. And so imagine if a break point is like a box. If you get it into the box sooner, the ball has more time to change direction in that zone. If you get it there later, it doesn't have enough time.
.28 look. Spare is converted. Now the question, what will Nora do here?
I'm so surprised. We're going to stick with the same ball. But with somebody with the talent of Nora, at this point, it's not talent. It's not her ability. She's not going to throw it bad for 4 frames in a row. Strategy has to change.
Yeah, light mixer.
All right. The only thing that would really make sense to me is that might have been a little bit slower, so it had time to pick up sooner, but it was relatively the same part of the lane, same spot down lane.
Again, 4th career show for Nora, 5th at the Anniversary Open in front of 6,500 plus fans at the Rec Center in Green Bay. Didn't like it immediately. Missed the headpin right. 3rd again last year at the Pepsi Open, again in a similar or the exact same format here in Rochester. And 5th already this season at the Northern Colorado Open.
She's just continuing to get better. Like every time she comes out here, when I see her posting on social media, she's always getting better. Very growth-oriented person.
Just 23 years old, 2-time Swedish Female Bowler of the Year. Mike said something earlier that is very true. We're all just waiting for Nora to win. Like, we know it's going to happen, but we're watching also the development and the growing pains in real time. 1 strike through 6 frames for Nora, but much different story for Pepi. Seven pin late, but it falls. And more of the same for Constetter.
What's interesting is we saw Steph and Daphne both playing to the right, and we thought that that right lane might have been a little bit more. What's interesting is Pepi and Nora are further left, and I'm seeing the same thing.
Seventh frame. Bang.
And I do want to point out that the reason that's interesting is as players take notes when we go to different bowling centers, This one's perfect. Goes straight through the 8-9. But as we go to these different bowling centers, we take notes about not just if one lane is different than another, but where we were playing, because sometimes, like we've been to ABC Gates a lot at this point, the notes that a lot of us have say, okay, we were playing to the outside and lane 15 is more than lane 16. I was playing in the middle. This lane is more than the other. It's rare, I feel like, for a pair to be a great shot from Nora. That one was a lot more in front of her, didn't get as far right as quickly. It's rare for a pair to be different in the same way in two very different parts of the lane.
Great shot, and exactly what you said, Sid, with respect to keeping it a bit more in front of her. And that's something we didn't see a ton of shape from Nora during the 2 rounds of match play. And that was one of the things I was talking about, because she was able to utilize speed to kind of, you know, almost eliminate having to shape it, where she can control the front to back. That was much softer.
That's really good.
Wasn't it?
That's really, really good. That's a lot straighter through the front part of the lane.
Posted that one too. That was another thing we were talking about at the Northern Colorado Open. Like all week, we just watched Nora post shots like nobody's business. I think it took her a few frames to kind of settle into this match.
Daria has my dream camera. I just have to point that out. I've been looking for like a nice camera, you know, to.
What kind of camera is it?
I'm bad at camera names. I just have it pinned.
We'll figure it out.
I have it pinned. I'll look it up. Got it on my phone. See, and the camera people are going to come for me. They're going to be like, you should know what your dream camera is called. Guys, I'm a newbie. Okay, we wouldn't get mad at a baby for not knowing how to walk yet. I'll get there.
Consteady will get to the promised land, and tonight that places the championship match. Continued execution at a high level.
So here's an interesting thing. I would think if this match was a tad bit different, meaning our first 2 matches, if one of the players of each was swapped, I think going first versus going second would matter. I'm not sure it matters a ton, because both of these players are further left. Both the other players were further right. Like, I think we're just going to see an all-out dogfight between Stephanie and Peppy for the title here. It's going to be who can make the best shots for 10 frames, because what Peppy and Nora are doing aren't greatly affecting Stephanie's line to the pocket at all.
If you joined us late, Stephanie Johnson defeated Daphne Tan in the first semifinal match, 257 to 167, and is waiting for the winner. And now, of course, we know who that is. It's going to be Peppy Consteady. She will bowl for her first PWBA title. Meanwhile, the more experienced Stephanie Johnson will be looking for title number 6 and her second in the last 2 seasons in this very building. For Nora, making back-to-back shows again in the building here at ABC Gates Bowl. 4 shows, and effectively really since July, when you think about the progress of Nora Johansson. First career show was in July at the Anniversary Open. She's made 3 more since then, including today. And a 4-9 for good measure. Now, these 2 are roommates, rooming also with Birgit Nordreichs and Crystal Elliott here this week. They talked about, again, just the genuine love for one another. They both said whoever wins, you know, that there's going to be no hard feelings on the roommate part. They'll be still, they'll be cool. Give it a run. All right, so Sid, as you kind of alluded to a little bit, just looking ahead, right, with lane play, you anticipate Stephanie to be in her same zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't expect her to be affected at all.
Really good shot, obviously one of the best of the match. Certainly disappointing, but the way and the opportunities that got her here today. Started with a 4-games to 1 victory. Oh, I'm sorry, over 3 games to 1 victory over Diana Zavjalova. And then a back and forth battle that really came down to the 10th frame between Hope Gramley. That was an incredible match. See the disappointment there on her face, and I'm sure probably looking back at the first couple of shots, first couple of frames, and we'll love to have those back. Different look at a piece of equipment here in the 10th frame for Pepe.
Yeah, I believe that's a Rocket AI. A ball we saw go down the lane a lot last week for our Queens champion and Erin McCarthy.
Again, event number 2 of the week begins tomorrow. "12 more games of fun." I really think tomorrow is going to be a lot more fun for everybody. Pattern looks like it's going to be more fun. So if you're not a fan of the lower scores, you might want to tune in tomorrow. I think it's going to be an entertaining time. Well, that one, based on the practice session, did look like there were some opportunities to strike.
There were
There's always
also
one.
there were some younger people who bowled on that pattern recently, and their scores were pretty good too.
Okay.
Down in Orlando.
Foreshadowing. Pepe rolled through a couple of bowling balls. Of course, mathematically over at the end. Nice embrace. Perfect on the right lane. And we've got ourselves a championship match.
Stephanie Johnson versus Pepe Constantine. Who is going to take home the title here at ABC Gatesville?
As Robin Graves said, it'll be Stephanie Johnson versus Pepe Constantine. We will take a break. We will hear from our proud Go partners, Storm and Lane Talk. We will give away 1 Storm bowling ball. And we come back, we will set up the championship match. That is next here on BowlTV. And we welcome you back. Emil Williams Jr., Sidney Brummett, Mike Flanagan on the 1s and 2s. Big shout out to our player services manager, Cecil Scarborough, providing talent stats for us tonight. Stephanie Johnson set to take on Pepe Constantine. Before we get into it real quick, it is time for the next bowling ball giveaway. Again, get out of full screen mode. Again, get out of full screen mode. The first countdown is already underway. If you are still in full screen mode, open up your phone, laptop, or something to that extent so you can see the lower third prompt. Once you see the first countdown remove itself, the next one will simply say click here to submit entry, and that's what you should do. Do what it says. Click submit entry, and you got yourself an opportunity to win a Storm bowling ball. We appreciate you, Storm, the leading manufacturer of high-performance bowling balls. Visit stormbowling.com to pick your next Storm bowling ball, and always remember to bowl up a Storm. And also thank you to, of course, Lane Talk, a valuable USBC Gold partner. Stop by lanetalk.com to find live scoring links in centers across the U.S. and all the latest products to help you track your scores and improve your game. That is Lane Talk. Submit your entry. All right, Sid, already seeing a different bowling ball going down the lane. We saw this one on the, I think it was the last shot on the fill for Stephanie Johnson. Of course, the Pulse did the majority of the damage in her match early against Daphne Tan. Early thoughts as you watch this bowling ball go down the lane?
Well, the first one rolled a 3-pin. That's always a good sign. I mean, double down on that. Why not? But I like the thought process behind it because the cover is a bit cleaner, but that core is still very aggressive. So it'll give her the opportunity to stay straight, stick to her game plan, because what's really easy on this pattern is to feel like you have to go left. But for Stephanie, that's not going to give her the best opportunity to strike as much as she's going to need to beat Peppy in this match, from what I believe. So going with a ball that will allow her to stay straighter, not worry about her carry, it's a good option. I do want to point out as well that it is asymmetric. The pulse is a symmetric piece.
Hey guys, Mike here. Sounding great. We've been watching the event the entire time, and something I wanted to bring light to is Stephanie Johnson is the best straight player that we've had on this pattern over the course of 2 days. And Peppy has proven to be the best high rev rate player that we've seen over the last 2 days. So we've got the straighter player, the best one, against the best power player that we've seen over 2 days. And I think Stephanie had to change balls here because of all the rev rate that just went down the lane in the match prior with no re-oil. So this should be a very interesting match right here. Stephanie Johnson has had the higher scores, but she has to now deal with what traffic she had before here, and that's why I believe she's using different balls. And what do you guys think a final score of the title match might be, the winning score? 2 1/4?
240.
240 out of Emil?
240.
What was Peppy averaging? 237? Yep. I got the over on 237.5.
Well, it's going to be a great final match.
I'm not a betting woman anymore. I was before my new job. I can't bet anymore on sports. But I love a good bet line. I was not happy in Vegas last week not being able to walk into a sports book. That did better for the wallet, though, I must admit.
Stephanie looking to defend, and for title number 6, Peppy looking for her first. It's going to be a good one, folks. Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause here at the 2026 PWBA Rochester Open.
I think this will be a little bit of a different feel for Peppy, too. She's going to start the match. And just from the aspect of, okay, I'm not bowling someone I know, right, extremely well. I'm not bowling my friend, my best friend, my roommate, et cetera, and so forth. So to some degree, right, she can eliminate the emotional aspect of it, if that makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense. And when, I had the opportunity at the Queens. My very first match, I bowled a former high school teammate. And it was so interesting because I almost felt like too comfortable. Like, that's my girl, right? An unfortunate break there for Peppy.
Wow, and it starts with an 8-10.
She did make the switch. I think that's so interesting, to make the switch right away. I understand it was convincing, but I thought it was a little long every time that she threw it. Yeah, it struck every time, but it was still a little long. But to finish the thought, I was bowling my girl, bowling Brie. And I almost felt too comfortable, like the sense of urgency wasn't there. And that doesn't always push you to be your best. And by the time the match was over, I was like, I don't know if I was fully present. And it was a really cool learning moment. A really, really cool learning moment that then took on to the next matches. I'm sure Peppy will have some version of that today.
You're referring to Rihanna Searball from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And, of course, you would bowl the person you grew up bowling with,
of course,
out the gates.
Why not?
So Stephanie Johnson, not that she needed any additional motivation, but her opponent goes 8-10, no count in frame 1. Not throwing the pulse, as you can see, full effect. It's in effect. And 6-10 early. That ball sees it friction and wants to go left.
It's not exactly slow down lane. It's not. And also, what's interesting about the pulse, I had a similar issue to what Stephanie is going to have right now, is the pulse is a bowling ball that lives on a little island by itself. Very unique. Slow cover, symmetric. It almost feels like a urethane-ish type shape where you can keep it in front of you. It's very round. And then, as we all know, getting out of urethane is hard, not because you don't know how to do it, but because the shapes are vastly different. You're using the early friction with a urethane-like shape like the pulse, and then you go to something that's using the friction that's later down the lane. Getting your eyes to see that and see it quickly is a big challenge, and that will be what Stephanie has to overcome here with the ball change.
Stephanie Johnson, 5-time champion, 42 years old. Big shout out to the fam watching. mom, husband Chris, her children, Levi and Kinsey. And Levi, she did want me to tell you specifically that she has had the cool, there's like a little I'm not quite describe it, but it's like a baby Jesus, and it's small enough to fit in Steph's pocket. She has had it all day and yesterday, and when things weren't going quite right, she fiddled with that baby Jesus in her pocket, and here she is in the championship match. So Levi, that one was for you.
Levi must be on TikTok. Levi has to be. Because I was on TikTok this morning.
Did you see baby Jesus?
I did. There was a guy having coffee. He said he was having coffee with Jesus, and there was a little baby Jesus
Yeah,
on
it
the
looked like
table. It's like this big.
Yeah, it would sit on
I know
a,
exactly
on a
what you're
table.
talking about. It's all over my TikTok.
There's Steph jotting down notes. Ball change back to the idle Cosmos. Will it prove to have dividends? And you bet.
It's what's so interesting about bowling is you can almost out-execute a decision, right? Like, Pepe's so comfortable, so she's throwing it great. She makes a ball change. It looks great for several shots in a row. You're like, well, that means that I must ball change. It means that I must do something different. It must be right. But when you ace all three, it's almost bad information because you're not going to ace every shot that you throw. It's what happens when I miss.
The Cosmos on both lanes now. Oh, look at the recovery. You see the difference.
It just picks up a couple feet sooner. I'm amazed at how far right she can get it. I am amazed.
Is that one of those things where you might have something that maybe no one else, or maybe one or two other people? You talked about Hope, being able to get some bowling balls right and recover, have something that maybe no one else has in the building. And the shots we've seen from Pepe so far in this championship and in the semifinal are certainly reminiscent of what we watched during her match play rounds in the round of 16 and the round of 8. That one is hooking 3-6-10. Now hooking twice again on this right lane.
I felt like this one, her angles were so shut down, it never had a chance. Fortunate to leave something that doesn't have a red circle around it.
Thanks to our wonderful staff here at ABC Gates Bowl, the first step ladder of 3 this week. Still the BowlTV Open and the Lilac City Open. That's got an interesting shape as well. More bowling to come, but first, a champion to be crowned tonight. 3-6-10 converted. Minimal advantage at the moment for Stephanie Johnson, but that could change here shortly. It's a good look here at this 3-6-10 and see how close it was. There were a moment that looked like it was going to take the 3-pin off. Still clean through 3 frames. That's better. There it is.
It's really good. You saw her look back after the 3-6-10, and you saw her say move with a question mark. And she's saying it to her tour team that's right behind her. And I think what's been, I'm not going to put words in Stephanie's mouth, but one thing that I was excited about when she made the brand change for the year is her friendship with Mike Wolf. I think it's easier to have a brand change when you know you have a friend that's going to be with you a lot, and because of how close they are and how well they communicate, it becomes easier to make those things, have trust, know that they have your best interest in mind.
Oh, good break there for Pepe Consteri. And a couple of breaks went, in the fortunate way. And I thought every opponent really that got some breaks were able to take advantage across the board. That's a big one there for Pepe. Now Pepe takes the lead after the three-bagger. Again, semifinal number 1 features Stephanie Johnson and Daphne Tam, with Steph getting the victory 257 to 167. Pepe in semifinal number 2 defeated Nora Johansson 243 to 157. Wasn't sure about it, but that is clearly the right bowling ball. Steph stepping up now, trailing by 18, and for a moment, right, briefly, Pepe throws a different bowling ball, one that looked okay, again at the end of her semifinal number 2. Starts with it, 8-10, no count, back to the ball that got her here, the Idol Cosmos. That right lane. See, how does this one try to tackle? Right, put yourself in that situation. And you talked about the info that Zach Tackett discussed when the PBA Tour was here earlier this year in April, with the right lane seeming to hook a little bit more than left lanes.
Yeah, it sounds really weird, what I'm about to say. But I thought that Stephanie's look with the pulse was okay on the right lane. I almost think a 2-ball situation wouldn't be the worst conversation to have with herself and to have with her team in this moment. The full effect looks great on 31 because it'll get through the confusing, right, part of the pattern, the part that can trick you and think you have to move and do all these weird things to your brain that thinks it's you and not your strategy. On the right lane, I think going to something that's more quick response creates more confusion. And I think she would have a easier time reading the ball reaction, making quality moves with something that's less responsive. Because what's interesting about a responsive bowling ball is it doesn't matter where the friction is. So if it's in the front part of the lane, it's going to respond there. If it's in the middle, it's going to respond there.
Back on the left lane, perfect.
She can also move on 32. However, what gets dicey about moving on 32 is Pepe and Nora, right? Where did all their practice shots go down the lane? Left of where Steph is she moving into their traffic? Will she have hold? Probably not. So then does it shoot through it? Does it 210? I would go with something slower response on 32.
Meanwhile, Pepe, we've seen this movie before. She can get locked in. And just like that, trouble. And you can tell she just told you exactly what she did. That right hand and that right wrist going over the top.
Yeah, because her rev rate's so high when she applies too much rotation, it creates so much down lane motion. Now here's what's interesting. Situational bowling is this miss by Pepe, just knowing that she didn't strike, not necessarily the open frame, but just that she didn't strike, may allow Steph to feel like she doesn't have to make a big change. She may not have to strike. Now, if Pepe would have struck there, very different. You have to take a risk on the right lane. Now she really doesn't. So if she feels comfortable with the full effect, she could make a move and not feel as worrisome that it's not going to go well. Because if she leaves something she can make, she knows that Peppy has a bit of a volatile ball reaction in this moment, where if she misses, doesn't have the best result for her.
After the open frame here, 7th for Peppy. And a 10-pin. Talking about ebbs and flows. This feels honestly like what we felt earlier watching match play unfold in many cases across 5 games. We're now, I think, feeling like we're getting all of the emotional aspect of it, even the ball changes, what the lane transitions now look like. We're seeing it all in a 1-game scenario for a title.
And I feel like that tracks a bit because we started to see big transition moments during qualifying around game 2 to 3, depending on who you were following, what part of the building you were in. Now it's just who can navigate it best. Looks like she's going to stick with the full effect on the right lane.
This feels like the BPAA moment of the match. Seventh frame, Stephanie Johnson. Madden struck on the right lane. No. 7-pin.
She made the move, and that's the nervous part, is do you make the move and it shoots through it? Because it can get to that speed bump, and the best way to describe a speed bump is like a little BMX ramp, right? A BMX ramp where you can either choose to take the underground tunnel or you're going up and over it, right? And when you make that move, sometimes it goes up and over it, and it catches wind. It goes very fast, never slows down. And sometimes it'll get off the friction and it'll be fine and you'll strike, but the next time you might not have the best result.
So coming down to the final frames. And what currently is an even match. We know the left lane has not been the issue literally for Steph. She is perfect, 3 for 3 on the left lane. Money frames coming up. Peppy is going to finish on the right lane. That's a lane that up until recently, right, that split, she felt very comfortable on too. Got to see it. And it does. 8 was a little wonky to get out. The 10 followed, but it does not matter how they go down as long as they do.
No doubt. This is just the asymmetry of the ball. It just gets forward through the pins. But the asymmetry is what's allowing her to feel like she can be straighter. Doesn't get as offline.
The best news for Stephanie Johnson, she's going to finish on the left lane, of which she is still perfect on.
Who was the higher seed? Who got lane choice?
The higher seed was Peppy.
Interesting.
Of course, Stephanie Johnson was the 16th seed.
Oh.
The last player to get into match play, of course. And now Peppy in front of the ball return. How about this? And back into the other piece of equipment. Here it is. Wow. Well, I tell you what, I love the gusto there. For me personally, she took a risk. How calculated was that risk? Lucky to leave just a single pin in that situation.
Yeah, the 3-9 is hard to shoot in general, let alone when you're sliding that far left. But what's interesting, Emil, is it wasn't the best executed shot from Pepe, and she still has to bowl the 10th frame over there.
I just talked about how that lane was the better of the two lanes when going back into our first semifinal match, where she was just money. And now there's some uncertainty going back on that right lane, and it may not matter.
She's also going to stay with the Rocket AI on the left lane.
First championship appearance, first show. That one is right. 2-pin does fall. Another good break. So no strikes in the 8th and the 9th for Pepe. And now Stephanie Johnson, ball in hand. And how many times today have we seen Stephanie Johnson come through in match play, in-game scenarios to shut the door and win another title here in Rochester tonight. Max score for Pepe is 208, but she may not have a chance to even give herself the opportunity to win it, because Steph J can take care of that here in the 9th and 10th. Said Steph still obviously with one shot remaining on the right lane. Made the move in the previous time up.
She can have a bit of confidence in knowing that the last one wasn't her best. It was a bit further right than she wanted it to be, but it tried to get off of it. So off of the friction, I mean by that. So she can have confidence in throwing this shot, knowing she's in a decent enough part of the lane to get to the pocket. Just will they all fall down?
Strike here, boy, she is really in control. And dodges trouble, 3-6. Right lane continues to be the bugaboo. Not only for Stephanie Johnson, now for both players, as that one kind of stood up quickly.
Yeah, you could see that that one never got to those 3 light-colored boards that we've been talking about. It was just left of there, and you're hoping it'll push through it, but with as much traffic that's gone down the lane left of her, that you have a big hope to get that to happen.
Title on the line here at the Rochester Open. Handled. Two-pin match. And now, for Stephanie Johnson at least, it's simple. 2 strikes and 9. And she will win the Rochester Open title for the 2nd consecutive year here at ABC Gates Bowl. On a lane now that she has not missed on yet in this title match. First opportunity. Bang! She was 4 for 5 on the left lane in the opening semifinal against Daphne Tan.
It's as good as it gets from Steph. Giving the left lane exactly what it's calling for. We heard some players joke around today. They got flatter, they got more difficult. And because in this building, the 2 lanes are so different on almost every pair, it felt like we were bowling on dual patterns sometimes. That's the mindset of Stephanie right now. You see her readjust her mindset every time she comes back to this left lane. Nothing that's happened on the right lane matters right now. It's just this shot right here.
Slightly left. Gets a break with just the 9-pin. Didn't like it. That's something that Steph talked about, getting into some bowling balls where if she did miss left, she went Brooklyn. She did go Brooklyn, no design split on the situation. Obviously, Spare now gets her to 200. But Pepe now will have the opportunity to win her first PWBA title. With a Spare here, Steph will shoot 200. Pepe would need 2 strikes and 3. Well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Finland's own Pepe Konsteri. 22 years old, looking to become a physical therapist. Making her first championship round appearance tonight. She needs a double and a few pins on a fill shot to become a Professional Women's Bowling Association champion.
To be clear, staying with the Rocket AI moved back to the right. Nora looks so nervous.
Gotta have it. Nothing doing, and Stephanie Johnson will repeat as the PWBA Rochester Open champion. She can't believe it. The emotions already going for Stephanie Johnson. It is title number 6 for the future Hall of Famer.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What a championship match. What a final. 200 to 183. Sydney Brummett, I truly believe we got everything that a 5-game match play match would give us in just 10 frames. But congratulations to Stephanie Johnson. Pepe Konsteri, I thought she performed well, all things considered. Maybe some experience, obviously, thinking about some of the decisions, but I also appreciate taking the risks. You never know when your opportunities will come to win titles. She did not average more than 237 for a reason in match play. Speaking of Pepe Konsteri, but ultimately, Stephanie Johnson being so good on the left lane, it proved to be the difference. You see Robin Graves, Kelvin Parker to the right. One of the proprietors here at ABC Gates Bowl. And of course, our champion for the 2nd consecutive year here at ABC Gates Bowl as we try to, or Robin tries to get the house mic in the proper spot. All good.
BowlTV. Hi, guys. We have Kelvin Parker here, one of the owners of our fine establishment of ABC Gates Bowl, to present the trophy.
Congratulations on winning and defending your Rochester Open championship.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I think my heart is racing too hard. Oof, it's off the charts. Ladies and gentlemen, your champion, Ms. Stephanie Johnson. So, Steph, yes, a huge congratulations. So you won this event last year, different format, but in the namesake. How does it feel to go back to back?
Unreal, honestly. You know, walking into this bowling center, Russ and Kelvin and everybody here just makes you feel so welcome that it just feels like home. And I think there's just that comfort level that doesn't really leave, and you just feel comfortable here and just feels great.
How do you take this comfort and momentum into the rest of the week? I know you recently made a brand change, and so how does that confidence help you moving forward on tour?
It's been a learning process this whole year and before. Shout out to my reps, Woj, Wolfie, and Dino, for trusting in me and believing in me every step of the way. it's just been a heck of a journey, honestly, and it's always constant learning. And I just want to say hi to my fam bam at home because they're watching on the big screen. I did it. Yay.
Is there anyone else you would like to thank?
Obviously, everyone at USBC, BPAA, all of our sponsors that make this possible. Grateful for the opportunity. I always, at the point in my career where I just want to find joy in doing what I do. And this is the bonus. This is definitely the icing on the cake, and we're probably going to get some cake later. But yeah, just thank you to all my sponsors, Brunswick for taking me under their wing, Coolwick, Vice, Extreme Travel. I just couldn't do it without them.
And the last question for you, you mentioned joy. What message do you have for other women out there to, just find joy in the game or bowling fearlessly and following their dreams like you have?
I just think it's super important to always remember why you do it. I shoe up because I just love the game. I love the competition. I love all the people. And that's what just keeps bringing me back.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2026 PWBA Rochester Open champion, Ms. Stephanie Johnson.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, Stephanie Johnson, your 2026 PWBA Rochester Open champion. We'll have some photos for first, and then we'll talk with Steph here in the BowlTV booth. And while we wait, Sid, knowing Steph now as well as I do, and getting a chance to compete and watch her compete at the collegiate level, the youth level, and certainly here on the PWBA Tour, each time she gets to this point, you can feel the true joy and just the thankfulness to be able to do what she is able to do, and also the gratefulness from the family aspect as well. She told me she's going to be here, this is the longest 3-week stretch, right? So she's here for a week, then she's driving to Columbus, and then down to the U.S. Open. And so, Levi wasn't aware that she was going to be gone for so long. So Steph asked Levi, hey, give me something that'll bring me good luck. And that's where the baby Jesus came. That came into play. She talked about it before they started practice. We were having that conversation. And when you see her, you can just feel it, right?
Yeah.
You can feel it through her, not only just the words, but the tone. Very appreciative of what she has accomplished, certainly, but still what is to come as a professional.
Yeah, I think so. And Steph came out with the relaunch of the tour, straight out the bag, Rookie of the Year. I think we overlooked that quite a bit because it happened straight away.
Right.
But she's somebody that's a staple out here, and she's not somebody that is flashy or any of those things, except for with her sparkles, of course, and the shiny skirts. But everything else about Steph kind of just feels like home, and I think players feel that. We feel welcome around her, and it's nice to have somebody like her on tour as often as we do.
She is getting multiple hugs. She is on her way with the trophy, which we appreciate.
My new teddy bear tonight.
Okay, folks, we've got Stephanie Johnson here in the booth, trophy in hand. And Steph, first of all, congratulations. I was just talking to Sid, just listening to you speak each time. I feel like you're in this position now as a champion. I feel like you appreciate it more and more, not only based on obviously what you've accomplished before, but still giving grace to what you can accomplish in the present, what's to come in the future, and as well as the family aspect. Just describe truly how you feel right now and what this means at this point in your career, as you often say.
Yeah, I mean, the one word that comes to mind is joy. People probably see me writing in my journal. They're like, what the heck is she writing? She's bowling one game. It's just positive affirmations, like just really enjoying what I'm doing, remembering why I do it. And that really has never wavered. But I think as I get towards the end of my career, it's even more obvious that that's really the reason I do it.
I gave the shout-outs to the fam, specifically Levi, as we talked about. And I talked about it on the air, the baby Jesus. Please show the good people.
The baby Jesus.
And
all day long. I don't normally wear shorts to bowl in for no particular reason, but today I did. Had a pocket, put it in my pocket, and there were some moments when I had to grab a hold of it because I just needed to calm down, and it worked. So thank you, honey. I love you.
The bowling ball situation, right? So we talked about the pulse, right, being a big Mike Wolf present to you, if you will. That got you to 257 against Daphne Tan. Then obviously a completely different strategy in the championship match. Ball change. What prompted the ball change? What did you see? And I'm assuming based on the Nora Pepe match that preceded you.
Yeah, I mean, it goes by so quickly, honestly. You get 6 shots, 3 and 3. I threw 1 on each lane with the pulse. It just didn't really give me the right shape of what I thought was going to strike enough, and obviously I never struck on the right lane, which was kind of my nemesis last year, honestly, as well. But, I just knew I needed to keep it in play, make my spares, and, see what happens, and here we are. So.
How much, when you're looking at the match, did situational bowling come into play against Pepe? She had an open early, and then the next 4 in a row. How much did that open that then preceded that 4-bagger play into a decision you made on the right lane? Or was it even a thought?
My thought was just always to try to conquer the lane because I felt like I was making good shots, but then at the same time I was fighting ball motion. So chatted with the reps. I was like, hey guys, like seriously, am I throwing it like a donk or is it the lane now? And tried to make some moves, just couldn't quite execute the way I needed to on 32. But at the end of the day, left some makeable spares, and that's what got me here.
Steph, just
Make
curious,
your spares.
Before we let you go, obviously at this point we are appreciative of everything, right, we have, but do you still have specific goals in mind that you would like to achieve? This is title number 6. I mean, 10 seems like a very nice round number.
10 would be a nice round number, but you know what? I really made it a point to not base my career on titles. Whether I would have won or lost that match, like I gave it my heart. And, all you can do is put yourself in that position. So, yeah, I mean, more titles would be great. As I mentioned in my speech, that's the icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, tomorrow we're going to shoe up, bowl on another pattern, see what we got, and just get back at it.
Sid, any final words?
No, none at all. Just thanks for being you.
Thank you.
That's a great way to end things. Stephanie Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, champion here again at ABC Gates Bowl in Rochester. Steph's got some more media to handle. We'll take you out to the lanes briefly. Sid and I will be back to wrap this one up for you. Don't go anywhere here on BowlTV.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. But I can go somewhere.
Well, Sid, we get a chance to do this often, and to be quite honest with you, I wasn't sure between you and Stephanie who I was going to be talking to tonight, but I appreciate you being here.
Of course.
Great bowling to you before we
you.
go off the air tonight. Between
Thanks.
what you've done at the Queens, certainly at the start of this week, things look to be on the up and up for you, and I'm happy to see that.
Thanks.
As we close this thing out, we talked about, we always often talk about the future of this tour and women's bowling in general. We continue to see Nora put herself in positions to win. That's going to continue to happen, and that door is going to open for her. Tonight we saw Pepe kind of be thrust into that role. Not only was she thrust in it, she earned it. She took it, had the opportunity to win. It was Stephanie Johnson's night tonight. When you just look at what we talked about and what we watched, including Daphne Tan having her third opportunity to win a championship as well, what will stand out from this first event here in Rochester this week?
I think it's mostly just that when they're difficult, it's so important to do what's right for you, to find a way to hit the 1-3 and make your spares. Like Stephanie said, the mindset from last week to this week, vastly different for our players. And learning how to adjust to that, not only your strategy on the lanes, but to mentally be able to adjust and have a different mindset as well is important. And it's key to know that when you need to strike, you need to strike. But sometimes they're a little bit more difficult, and the mindset has to change with it.
Well, mindset's going to change tomorrow because they get a new event and a new pattern. Tomorrow begins the BowlTV Open. The qualifying round 1 will begin at 10 a.m. Eastern time right here on BowlTV. Want to thank our wonderful crew here, Brian Kane down lane getting some excellent shots, Mike Flanagan on the ones and twos. Want to thank the United States Bowling Congress and the USBC Board of Directors, the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, and the BPAA Board of Directors, the Professional Women's Bowling Association. Of course, they produce fantastic athletes. You saw them on display tonight and throughout the day during rounds 16 and the round of 8, of course, of match play here at the Rochester Open. And certainly you, the BowlTV community, the best fans in all of bowling. So we will see you tomorrow right back here, ABC Gates Bowl. Full lanes on display. We'll have our multiple channels back in play, and we look forward to watching the BowlTV Open. So for our entire crew, Sydney Brummett, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long for now. We'll see you in the morning. This has been a presentation of the PWBA Rochester Open. Stephanie Johnson repeats as the champion here on BowlTV. And remember, bowling lives here. Good night, folks.
Bill O'Neill, winner, winner, winner. Bill O'Neill advances.
For title. Indeed.
The birthday girl, Stephanie Zavala.
9 to make the show. There it is.
He yelled, "Do it," and he did it. BJ Moore makes the show. 10 is a win for Snodgrass. Title number 6 on the PWBA Tour.
Off his hand, it looks good. It looks good. He's done it. He's done it.